I've already got Minister's office call, so without wasting time, you can go ahead, sir. Yeah.
So good morning, everyone. So stage is excellent is said by the previous panel. So talking about climate change and technology absorption and regulatory hurdles, etc., etc. Yesterday, same time, I was in Singapore in a panel where everyone is talking about success story of Brazil in adopting biologicals. So 50% of farmlands in Brazil, so not by volumes, at least every hectare received a biological product. It may be a biofertilizer or biopesticide or biostimulant. And there was a subject also of total global south. Around 1 billion hectares under cultivation. Out of the whole global south, if you see, the Brazil is the leader in adopting biologicals. And look at India, maybe China, Vietnam. So they're also in the forefront of adopting biologicals. So we have, in fact, actually the Manoj and others also in Rajiv also discussed about the constraints. If you look at the whole adaptation, it's all boiled down to 3 or 4 parameters. Initially, it's all government policies to start with, entrepreneurs, investors, and also the farmers' perception. So maybe we'll be discussing next few minutes on each and every factor which influences adaptation of the biologicals in India. I think, Vijay. And more, I think I would like to take some suggestions from the audience too.
Thank you. I thank IIAB Consulting for giving me this opportunity. Our MD, Mr. Rajan, could not come, so I am on his behalf speaking for Privi Life Sciences. So regarding this microbial increase and organic carbon content going up, Privi Life Science has come into this field with a completely different concept, which is bioavailable silicon. As silicon is with 28% earth crust, it has, but it's in a non-bioavailable form and with microbes getting reduced. So this is one way where we have other challenges of microbes, that we have been able to have a technology which is stabilized orthosilicic acid. So where when silicon is available in a solubilizing form, then you see that the organic carbon content and it's even the conjugal for microbes to thrive. So that's how we started our journey 12 years back. So though the company is new, but we are very grateful that we got this opportunity to explain that within a short period of time, we could do a lot of trials and a lot of data generation to see that our contribution for in how we can mitigate the climate stress. So in that, investments have been quite huge, so that we had to start with product development, and then we have to build in regulatory and with the frame, so we could bring it into fertilizer control order in 2019. That's nowhere in the world it was there, but government supported, and now we could bring it, and now we have a lot of silicon fertilizers so that they can improve the soil. And so with that, even the bioefficacy trials, and the challenge lies in marketing and reach. So that's where any new technology takes its time. And the challenge where we faced even was about the institutes. When you bring something new and you say it's bioavailable, then already there was no idea about how silicon can play a role in agriculture. So that's how we had a lot of challenges, and it took time. And maybe in the last 5 years, I can see that a lot of products and a lot of farmers' awareness is increasing. And even the academia is supporting a lot. And that's how, and with that, slowly we could bring in to reach. We joined hands with bigger companies who have bigger reach, so that finally the farmer should benefit.
So maybe from the perspective, once again I will go back to Brazil's story. It is highly successful because there is a public-private partnership programs are going on. If you look at the Brazil's, like our ICR and IAR, they have Embrapa, like our extension functionaries like MAPA. And also there is a success story of Embrapa plus Corteva. So that's a huge success story where they have developed a consortium of microbes to increase the productivity in sugarcane by 20% and the reduction of chemical fertilizers by another 25%. So it's a huge example set up by Brazil. And of course, they have their favorable conditions like maybe the climate or the huge, land holding by the farmers and the public-private partnerships, investments are all. But our story is entirely different here, except for the small holding and mechanizations. So in these circumstances, how to take these, what are those technologies developed by ICR institutions or CSIR institutions? We have hundreds and hundreds of institutions. They're all doing a kind of a research work which should be transformed and translated into a product and delivery systems. So we have huge gap exists in our country, and we do not have much of public-private partnership programs. I didn't see any single example set by ICR, maybe except somewhere in the seed and other things, but especially in the adopting the biologicals, where, of course, I think recently the Krishi Jagran, they started Mayan P, something like that, Make India organic and natural and profitable, something like that. So that's a big assignment, and likewise, companies are also now coming forward with their own agenda, but the underlying current is to help the farmers to improve their productivity and improving the soil and the seed health, etc., etc. So maybe this discussion is not hard to talk about the investment side, but we have very, very poor investments by any joint ventures or maybe even the startup ecosystem, though it is huge, but the funding is very, very less. It's very meager. So from the financial part, for the investment parts, still India is lagging behind. And we have seen in the West, the millions and millions of dollars are pumped into the biotech companies. But unfortunately, getting few crore rupees of funding from the government is a difficult task. The one side, technology absorption, second is regulatory, the third is investments, and finally, the adaptability by the farmers is a challenge. I would like to know from you.
Yeah, no, definitely I agree what you're saying, because in any other industry, like when the investors or the promoters, they invest, they expect the return of investments maybe within 3 years, 5 years, and to break even, 3 years, because now it's more and more speed, so people expect. But in agriculture, especially biologicals and all the new technologies, sometimes it takes 5 to 7 years just to establish the technology with the farmers and to take it to the reach. So people are not that patient, and so it becomes very difficult. So that's one area which even we as a company also, the pressure is quite high to see how we can turn this around. But I too am just having no solution for that. Yeah. It's one of the big challenge for the biological and for the sustainable agriculture, to have that speed.
So even though there is, regulatory deficiencies we see across, still I feel that the regulators, they look at the industry as exploiters. So still that there is a gap, and the license laws, what we talk now today, we talk about single windows, but there is a huge gap existing understanding each other's requirements. So the greatest evidence is the Biostimulants Act. It was enacted in 2021. Even after 4 years, we are somewhere, in a miserable situation the industry is. So it is all, I think, we don't find always the faults in the government. It's too early to, I think, so our former Commissioner of Agriculture is here, who is instrumental to bring in this act. So without much of preparations and aftermath effects, the government brought in this act. So now who is sufferer? The industry is sufferer now. So today the situation is, maybe in another 20 days or 15 days, the extension period is going to be expired. and what is the fate of the industry, and the thousands of genuine manufacturers are there in the field, their stocks are there in the market, the godowns and other things, and what is to do with the stocks and also the manufacturing units. So there is, I think, a situation, maybe I think at this juncture, maybe Raj, if you allow, Raj Agarwal, if you allow, I think some kind of a discussion from the audience also. So one or two points.
I'll take.
Yeah, take this, no problem.
Yeah, that's a good thing. If some of you have got some questions to the panel, we can.
Questions, I think.
Or interaction, yeah.
Maybe Sandeepa?
Yeah, Sandeepa, madam. Both of you are sitting behind the camera. You should come in the front. Come in the front. Madam.
Yeah, thank you so much, KRK, and putting me on a spot here. So basically, as Dr. Ram was also saying, that we really have to have some solid examples in order for us to influence policy. Because right now, I agree that there are many small companies, and they are trying to come together and have some associations and have those advocacy groups for the government. If we think about three stark examples, three good examples come to my mind is putting the microbiology on the seed. And so many of the seed companies, they keep on asking us that, okay, we have to be able to mention it, and then the Seed Act has to be changed, because if at all factory level seed dressing has to be done in order to support this industry. So there again, the regulation aspect is there. Yesterday I was talking to a gentleman from IFCO, the MD was here, and I was asking him that what is, the government is proposing to use the Swachh Bharat scheme to promote the organic fertilizers and all. But then a lot of dumping is happening at the dealer counters, and not seriousness is in fact lost in that. A lot of seriousness is lost. So I was asking him that why isn't it being made compulsory to accompany the organic fertilizer with every bag of urea and also the microbes? Because it's a different mechanism to put the microbes on the urea, but then the together application is essential. So we really have to build the scale. Because once the scale for marketing is built up, the production scale already is there. People are really putting up great fermentation plants to bring up microbes into the market. The third is the biopesticides. As rightly said, that we are rightly, when we talk about biopesticides, we just think about neem and then some of the microbials which are being launched into the biopesticide arena. But then there are a huge lot of other things which are waiting to be registered, like Manoj mentioned about bacteriophages. A lot of other companies are also talking about putting metabolites or bacteriophages and increasing the actives list. If at all, we have to be able to give a solution for the farmer. So with my industry, we are trying to set up some kind of POPs wherein we are targeting around use of 40% of the farmer toolbox with the biologicals. And it is working definitely in some of the horticulture areas. So advocacy definitely, but then the scale, you have to be visible, you have to write, you have to make it known. The main problem of soil health is we talk too much, but then the applications on the field and the examples which we have to create, those really are taking time. But I believe that evolution is happening. If you see everywhere around the world, you talked about Emrapa. Yeah. So a lot of these solutions are being, there at the public institutions.
So what is the coordination lacking in our country?
India is too big, but Brazil is also too big. But then Brazil is handled by less number of people. In India, we have 1 billion minds. So it's a positive aspect as well as a negative aspect, as I can see. But there has to be a firm resolve. The firm resolve, I think so, is lacking in creating solid, few but solid examples. This is what I really
Maybe I will go to Dr. Malhotra. Sir, you are there from, I think, 2019, 2022, when you started formulating the guidelines for biostimulants, and you have witnessed the whole journey till now. So what is your perception, and so what is your suggestion to the industry as well as to the government?
Well, in fact, let me first give clarification to your one of the point which you mentioned, that the biostimulant regulatory system has been introduced, but it is faulty. It was just your statement. So your statement was like this. So first point is, let me explain and tell you that how the journey started for having the regulatory system for biostimulants. In fact, one delegation from industry met the Honorable Prime Minister, and then they mentioned that we need to have soil conditioners. They used the word, some soil conditioners or plant conditioners, some word was used. Just like biostimulants are needed in the country, and we need to have some kind of system, regulatory system, because several biostimulants are sold in the country, and those biostimulants are sometimes laced with the pesticides. So this was a complaint. So this way the journey started. And then the issue came in the ministry. Then it also came to me first time. Then I discussed with the industry that why you want to have biostimulant regulatory system. Already some kind of freedom is there. You can do the business. Nobody is going to stop you. Let the business go on, because biostimulants are bioproducts. They are safe. Why you are asking for the regulatory system? Then they asked that there are some miscreants. They are using pesticides into it, and it is now defaming. And further, the good players, they are at disadvantage. So that's why we need to have regulatory system. Then we started working onto it. We had several rounds of discussion with the industry, and then finally we arrived at one conclusion that, okay, let's have some draft guidelines. We made the draft guidelines, and then again I wrote on the file that there are many scientific points which are involved into it, and we need to have some kind of firmness and clarity. So we need to consult Indian Council of Agriculture Research. So the case was referred to them just to have some kind of scientific backup and further some kind of support, scientific support if they can. But anyway, then what happened in between, they made Director General Secretary ICR as a chair of that committee. And I was a member then. Then we discussed again, that draft guideline was discussed in depth. Industry, persons from industry were also there. It was our first experience. Whatsoever industry, on the basis of their experience, they mentioned, we included into it. And then even few of the guidelines, we thought that how to do, because this is a new kind of system. So then we took CIBR so as a base, how they are registering the biological products. So similar kind of guideline we can do this, biopesticide, how they are doing it. So, but we became little stringent. Why? We included toxicity and many other data included, and microbes were not included into it. But in the definition, those were there. So at the initial stage, we decided that let us keep the microbes aside. Remaining 7 biostimulants we should register, and we should start the registration process. So this way journey started. Then we arrived at a final draft of the guidelines, and those guidelines were circulated to everybody for their suggestions. So then we received the suggestions, then we again amended it, and then we released it. So then again we released it. That was again released temporarily for some time. That if this is a 15 days time. If industry has any kind of objection, they should come forward and tell us. Nobody came, nobody turned up. What we can do now at that time? Then we released that biostimulant guidelines and system. But anyway, we should now convey thanks that yes, at least some guidelines, some kind of system is now prevailing in the country. But amendments, midterm corrections always happens with the experience. So now we are experiencing, and registration processes started. So a lot of amendments have again taken place. I think it is the second amendment that has taken place. I was the chair of the first Central Biostimulant Committee of the country. So now I think at least we have reached to some kind of set system with us. So this way we started the journey. So this is one point, a clarification to your point, that system something. But anyway, people are appreciating that country, India is having some kind of regulatory system. So many other countries, they are also asking for the.
Thank you, sir.
So,
maybe, yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Lastly, maybe I will go to Juan. So you are in the multinational presence you have. And how do you feel Indian agrarian system, Indian business, agri-business ecosystem? And so what's your take?
Thank you, Dr. Reddy. So I think that the evolution, right, that I see in India throughout all these years is amazing. Sorry. And I have to congratulate, right, because all of these initiatives are in the right direction, right? Now, I always, will want more, right? I see what Brazil has done, right? And I think that the contribution, right? The industry will always go faster, right? Now, regulatory is a tough thing. It's so many interests, and the way that I see it, yes, the more that you, let's say, create a framework that allows innovation to bring in, right? The more that the new technologies will bring onto farmers, right? Now, I think that in biostimulants, the new release, right, and what is about to come, I believe, will boost the ecosystem in an exponential way, right? But I also believe that the real challenge is in biocontrol. That's my feeling. Why? Because, to be honest, this is not a problem in India, this is around the world, right? Biocontrol is a tricky and complex issue with lots also of big industry, big interests and all that, right? So my feeling is, on one side, that the next challenge in India is going to be the biocontrol regulation, right? How can we introduce all these technologies that bring a lot of added value and that are aligned with the goals of the government of India, right? And to be honest, India, in my view, will be the powerhouse in biologicals around the world. I can see that. But I think that, thank you. I strongly believe it. I have a lot of meetings with Indian partners, right? And I see, India has been using, neem oil, azadirachtin, pyrethroids for hundreds, thousands of years, right? It's the biggest R&D laboratory in the world. 300 million farmers, right? So once India brings, I think, all the biocontrol industry together, it will be a massive, outburst in the world. They will, I think that the same way that China has done with agrochemicals in the previous 30, 40 years, that will happen with India bio industry in the world in the next 20 years. Okay. The other thing that I would like to say is, I like to think, or I like to introduce one concept, right, which is AI, right, is disrupting the way we do things, is going very fast, right? And I think that one of the main things that AI does is it gives more power, right, to, for example, the farmers. Now, there was a time when the farmer didn't have access to knowledge. They couldn't know what was in a product, right? They couldn't know what the label said. They couldn't, so the regulatory system was created based, let's say, on the way that things worked in the last 20, 50 years, right? Now, what I would like to say is AI puts in the hands of every farmer access to knowing what is the active ingredient, what does it do, how should we use it, right? And I think that's changed the paradigm also of how we should approach regulatory issues, industry issues. How do we bring all these new technologies? Because the farmer will no longer depend on what the commercial agronomist of a firm tells them. They will have access and they will contrast information, right? That will, I think, change the way that we can also think of how these technologies will be adopted, because the adoption of the technology will be boosted by the access of information. People will know that these technologies do not leave residues, that they are better to manage resistance, that they are better to manage the health ecosystem, right? And that information will not have to be provided, let's say, even by the government. It will be shared by all the scientific data and all the industry and regulatory environment as well.
Thank you, Juan. So maybe I think we are at the crossroads definitely in terms of breaking the barriers to penetrate biologicals or its adaptation by. There are two very important issues what actually communities are facing. One is soil health and the climate change and other things. So the answering these two, I think quick adaptation of technologies as well as the mechanization. Unfortunately, we have barriers like small holdings, and there is only one very important barriers could not mechanize and also could not accept all the technologies which are all coming out from the ICAR. So, but anyway, there is a ray of hope. We have 140 million hectares, and according to maybe the ICR, 45 to 50% of soils are verge of degradation, and this is high time and top priority to bring back life to the soil. And the biologicals definitely they play a major role in improving the soil biological diversity and the soil organic carbon. So that is the first step in the direction of improving crop productivity. Maybe Vijay to conclude, please.
No, I also very thankful that to get this broad perspective of various ways of handling the soil health and climate change, and definitely Privi Life Science also is doing its bit, and hope to see and know more about especially the biostimulants getting more and more clearer, that we can be able to move ahead faster. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Raj, and thank you IIAB for giving this opportunity.
Thank you. I liked your ray of hope. You finally used ray in the conclusion thing. That's fantastic. And I really like this session because when we're talking to Dr. KRK and then Rajan, okay, what do you do? I said, no, I wanted two legends to be here in terms of businesses and all we do. But you made it not only a legendary session, but you also involved three other legends part of it. It's really became legendary. So thank you so much. As I said, ministry is on the way, but I still, Raj has got a tricky way of managing time. So I'll invite another panel discussion to come over immediately. Hopefully she will listen to you guys without losing time. So sir, Kaundinya sir, so please come and honor these two speakers. Meanwhile, next team be ready. Dr. KRK returned just this morning from Singapore. Great exchange program is happening. KRK keeps traveling everywhere. One keeps coming to India. One interesting thing I want to say, yesterday, Anita asked, "What do you understand Hindi by now?" And he said, "What?" He said, "I don't understand Hindi, but I know how things are working in India, I understand." That's what he expressed today.